Hey everyone! I missed the count today. It's fine. We're online. We're here. Hey Naya.
Hi, Harlan.
We are Harlan and Naya. Welcome to episode 5 of our pop culture series, Riding the Wake. Today's show is Bright Hope, and we'll talk about the legendary Netflix classic film, Bright, and how to trust the process when you train. So, to lead into our discussion today, I guess I've been a Netflix nerd for a really long time, and I grab all the content as soon as it possibly gets produced. That's sort of science fiction or fantasy and all, or even like action films, that sort of thing. So I really appreciate like how much content they put out there. And Bright came out a couple of years ago.
2017.
2017. Okay. So for Netflix, this is a classic. This is one of their very first AAA films where they hired AAA talent and they spent a lot on special effects and like they went to town with this production, and it was not a guaranteed business plan. And they're like paying Will Smith prices for this.
They're paying him Fresh Prince, buku money there, man.
Yeah. They're making it happen. They're like flying by the seat of their pants and just trusting and hoping that people are going to watch this film. And I liked it. I remember liking it when it came out, and Naya hadn't seen it, so we we jumped into it and we decided we're going to give that one a shot and do a little bit of classic film review.
Yes, we are. So I remember wanting to get Netflix, and this was the first thing that I saw. And I'm like, oh, I really want to see it. I really want to see it. And then I left Netflix, and I was like, yeah, I don't care anymore. So I was really happy when I got Netflix again, and I'm like, oh, I need to see that movie just for the mere fact that it was just strangely appealing to me. Just because they had a blue guy and then they had Will Smith, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is like, Independence Day that he did. I don't know. We'll just go by the seat of our pants and figure out what it is. So I watched the movie, and the basic movie summary is Will Smith, who plays a cop, which is a very big stretch for him. Bad Boys 1 and 2, maybe 3, I don't know. So he plays this cop who is teamed up with this orc who is of a different species than him. So, and it's set in LA. So you have this group of humans, orcs, which is kind of like ogres, and then you have elves. Now the elves kind of run Hollywood. They're all like fashionistas and rich and stuff. Then you have the humans who obviously are spread apart. And then you have the orcs who are kind of like the ogres. They're looked upon as, the lower class. They just do the heavy lifting, the gang bangers, whatnot.
Well, you're
So
not. Let me pause for you right there. So, like, are you familiar with the whole orc kind of like Dungeons and Dragons orc character set, or the orc characters from famous pieces like Lord of the Rings?
I never watched Lord of the Rings because of Liv Tyler, so no.
Okay, yeah. So orcs and ogres are different for a lot of people. So ogres tend to be larger and dumber, I guess. And orcs can be more like player character kind of things where you can
Okay.
actually like they tend to be like the sort of lightweight folks that support big bosses, but they run around and just sort of beat on people, and they kind of represent I don't know, sort of it depends on what it is, but they're usually just sort of like monsters that you can kill, but they're human shaped, so you can put people in their costumes.
Okay. So they're kind of like the hitmen of the fantasy world, pretty much, right?
Uh,
Maybe?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, and I think I think that's why they're playing on with the whole tropes in this. Like the
Yeah.
elves are sort. Because all right, if you haven't seen Bright, Bright is modern day. It's set in 2017. It's filmed in 2017. But like downtown LA is basically all like these fancy high rises that are managed and run and owned like as a sort of elven colony. I,
Yeah.
I want to say, and it's like got like barricades to get in and out. You can't like easily travel through it. You could think of it as the green zone like we used to have in Iraq when we invaded Iraq,
Oh,
and there's like all that, but not
yeah.
really. It's more like
I mean, you could drive through it. You can
you
drive
could
through it,
drive
but you
through it if you
can't.
had a
But
permit.
yeah, but you can't like just go in there. So you have all these people, right? These species and characters, and obviously there's bad people. So like what I call the Illuminati, the secret group. So they're trying to get all these magic wands so they can bring back the Dark Lord or something. Because there's always a Dark Lord. There always has to be a Dark Lord lurking somewhere in fantasy who they want to come back. And so what happens is Will Smith's character is teamed up with an orc. They have to go, fend for themselves, and the
Oh, and
humans.
and it's important to note that this orc is like the only orc on the police force.
Yes, it's
And
their.
everybody fucking hates him, and they're trying to throw him under the bus wheels all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they did affirmative action. Like when that whole thing happened. You're like, oh, you're just getting this job because you're a minority, and
Hmm.
so there was resentment there. Well,
Hmm.
at least as far as I kind of knew it. Um, so so they're fighting amongst themselves. So Will and the orc are fighting amongst themselves. Then they're fighting against the police force because they want him out. They want the orc out, and they're like, we can make it better. And in the midst of all this, they figure out that there's magic wands, and they have to, you know, uh, help this other elf who only speaks Elven until like what, three quarters in, to the end. She starts speaking English, and they're like, you freaking speak English? You speak English. So they find that, they're
That's when the
killing.
writers got tired, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Wait, how long? How long is this film supposed to be?"
Yeah.
Or maybe like they pick up a different writer midway, and they're like, "This is just not working." She has to say something, or like learn like to like express herself with, I don't know, like rocks and twigs or something. Like
It,
you got to
it was
explain to people.
it was just so it was weird. It was weird. It was just totally weird. But the cool thing is that they found out that elf that was holding the wand is a bright. So a bright is the only person that could touch, or an entity that can touch the wand and not blow up. Anybody else, like an orc or a human or another elf who does not
Or a
have,
paddler.
or a paddler who does not possess that magic, could just blow up themselves or whoever's around them.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
yeah,
So
so you can't test it. You can't be like, I'm just gonna touch a little. Like it's like an electric shock. If you get close enough to it, pow, right?
it'll
And
throw you
then
across the room.
you either succeed and you're awesome, or everybody around you gets vaporized.
Yeah.
This is probably not like a good thing to try.
Yeah. So in the midst of them doing this, the last scene, they find out that Will's character, I believe it's Wade, they call him,
Yeah,
which
I think
is
it's Wade. Yeah.
one, wait, they really went to town with that they pulled that name out of the bag, like, yes, he's going to be called Wade. you
The,
know, I mean,
we call it the
what
creativity
person?
hole.
I mean, have you ever known a police officer named Wade in Los Angeles?
I don't know of that many police officers, so no.
So, not to say if your name is Wade or a police officer that I
You
just
don't
don't know where.
deserve to be a police officer because someone named you Wade. But
Not that. So they find out that
you do
Will,
deserve to be Deadpool.
yes, Deadpool. Oh, well, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
So Will Smith's character just reaches for a wand in a fight scene, and his orc partner's like, no, you're gonna blow. He's like, well, I guess I'm gonna fucking blow up everybody then. And they find that Will Smith's character is the like only human bright that there is.
That they're
So
aware of, yeah.
yeah, and so it goes on, and it's cool because at the end of the movie you see the orc who is the only orc on the LAPD police force there gets a recognition and commendation, and you just see that whole relationship from I don't want to be with you. Now we have to work together to survive. And now I still don't like you, but I respect you because you saved my life and you're my partner. So there's going to be that tension there. I may not always like you. I may not always love you, but we're in this together sort of thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I think that's a good summary. Long
I think
summary, but that's a good summary.
I think that's a good summary. That's a good summary. So, as I was going back and watching clips from it, I was like skimming through and I was like, oh, there's the LAPD drawing down guns on a guy who's got a sword. Oh, there's the LAPD beating up a homeless person. Oh, there's an LAPD centaur kicking a homeless person. And I'm like, yeah, realistic.
But not all cops are bad, though.
Oh
Not all cops
gosh.
are
Oh
bad.
gosh. No, I know. I know. I know.
But it is LA. You know that LA is not known for
They're
its.
not known for their kindness and generosity toward the underprivileged.
Well, it's. I mean, LA is LA. There's good parts of LA and there's bad parts of LA.
Yeah, well. Anyway, as I was watching it, I felt I have this difficult I have this difficult thing in my head right now of watching police dramas because there's either there's either one of two things going on, and they didn't actually fall into that trap in this one.
No.
One is misrepresenting policing
Mm-hmm.
as this sort of uh, Sherlock Holmesian kind of thing where every case gets solved by the heroes who are police officers, and at the end of it, some person
Mm-hmm.
confesses or something like that, and they end up going to jail because they deserve it, right? Or you get this weird sort of thing where you've got like lots of police like stuff happening, but it's not actually like policing. So people get this weird misunderstanding of what policing is about. And it's not like statistically accurate or even procedurally accurate for what you would actually see in the real world. And so
Mm-hmm.
like, but I actually don't think they fell into that in this one as much because really at the end of the day, it wasn't really about them policing. It was more about sort of like this sort of almost gang warfare within the police department and then between these different
Yeah.
groups of people, right? You've got the humans, the orcs, the paddlers, and the elves all fighting for supremacy, right? And by the way, that's why
Yeah,
this is called Bright Hope.
exactly.
Humans, orcs, paddlers, and elves. The
Yeah,
four main
it
factions in
was,
this film.
exactly.
Because
Yeah.
they're
Although
they're
paddlers are not in this film, but they're in there somewhere.
you know I could feel their
They're in there
presence.
somewhere.
There is a Dark Lord, you said?
There is a Dark Lord. They're trying to bring back the Dark Lord with collecting all the wands.
Well, you know if there's
He
a
never
Dark
really
Lord, the
makes
Dark
it.
Lord probably paddles.
There you go. We like that. I like that. He's on a sup somewhere trying to get back on his OC1 somewhere. So, yeah, I think that's, just to see that division and then some people coming together to fight for, no, we need to keep things good. And like the FBI, there was
Magic FBI?
yeah. So there was an elf, and then there was a human, and it's like the magic FBI. And when that elf came on, I was just like, yeah, you would be in the FBI because you're just like, did this happen this way? And so it was just like, yes, okay. Like he just had that stare, those piercing blue, icy cold eyes. You're just like,
The stereotypical, like, dressed up FBI agent
with pointy shoes.
with pointy shoes. Yeah, the first time I met someone who was a FBI agent at work, I met recruiters, but I expected recruiters to be, like, dressed like nice, like recruiters usually dress nice, right?
Yeah.
So I had never met an FBI agent until I was working at Earthlink back in 98, maybe 99.
Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Blast from the
Earthlink.
past. And I was working in the legal department, and so we had to accept process serving from various agencies, and they were Earthlink's a internet service provider from the old days. I don't even know if they still exist. I think they do, but nobody cares about it anymore because no one has dial-up anymore, so you get it through your cable company.
It's like LimeWire. Nobody cares about that.
Right. So anyway, I was working there as a law clerk, and I got this call from the front desk, and they're like, "Oh, someone's here who's serving papers from the FBI." And I go out, and there's this lady there, and she's dressed in like sweats and a sweatshirt, and she looks like in flip-flops and stuff like that. And I'm like, who is this person? And she's like, "Hi, I'm Special Agent so-and-so from the FBI. And here's your process papers that we need to get this thing from you." I'm like, you do not, you are not selling it. You are not selling it. What is this, COVID times? It's not. It's not. You don't get to come here if you're not wearing your two-piece suit, fucking pinstripes, and like a nice blouse. And I don't care if you're a woman. You should have a tie.
So
And
you just
dark
got let
glasses,
down.
right? Dark glasses. Where is the uniform? I was betrayed. I felt betrayed. I was like,
Are you sure? Was she undercover? Was she?
no, I think she was. I think she was working from home. I think she was just. I think she's just working for. You watch this is my point about the policing thing, right? You watch television and they say the FBI dresses like this, and then you meet someone in the FBI, because I know people who work at the FBI. That's not how they dress, obviously, because if they did, everyone would know they worked in the FBI, right?
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
The whole image thing just threw you off.
It just This is why the tropes in television and film sometimes they're helpful for visual reference so that you as a viewer understand the role this person is in.
Mhm.
And it's actually interesting watching Korean stuff because watching stuff that's produced in Korea, particularly for television, and
Mhm.
then seeing how those visual cues are different allows me to kind of come back to American cinema, American television, and kind of go, oh, we do that stuff too. It's just as obvious to other people. We just have grown accustomed to it and ignore it. It, it it's kind of like when and when you're fairly good at something. Like for a while, I trained in martial arts, and so I was fairly good at karate. I'm not going to say I was an expert or anything like that, but I saw a lot of people who were experts. I knew what expertise looked like. Watching watching people punch and kick on television and do like fights, all of a sudden I got just very disappointed, particularly with American television. American television fighting was very, very bad back in the day when I was growing up. And like now people know better, I think, and there's much higher quality in that. But I just can't wait for the first like paddling, like focused film to come out, just to be horribly disappointed because they're gonna take the main actor and they're gonna be like, here, learn to paddle. Like I'll give you a 2 hour a 2 hour prep, and then they're out there like, it's just gonna be horrible.
We're and the funny thing is that pretty much if that happens, all the paddlers are going to go see that movie, and then we're just going to jump on the phone, jump on social media, and be like, okay, first of all, your hand placement was all wrong. Your body movement was all right. Like, we're going to nitpick forever.
What were you
Be
doing
like,
with your
and
head?
he should have been in that boat because that boat is way too fast for him. That is, you know. Why did you make them the lead? Nobody is stroking with him. You know, it's just like it's
Why
gonna
aren't you
be
using a carbon fiber paddle? Why?
yeah. Nobody makes those calls. Nobody says let's go. It's
Yeah, you know it's gonna happen because some person right now is like, they're a young paddler and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna write a script, and then they sell that script and it turns out really awesome for them, and good on you if you sell that script, and then
and it comes.
some star is gonna get attached to it, and they're like, I do my own stunts. And it's going to be like freaking Tom Cruise and Top Gun playing volleyball. I'm like, dude, have you ever played volleyball before? No, actually, Tom Cruise he actually did an okay job. He wasn't supposed to be a volleyball player, so that's
But
why it's okay. He
yeah,
was like having just a pickup game of volleyball. I get it. That's
he
cool.
was having a moment
He
with
wasn't
his
supposed to be a
bros.
pro, but there are movies where it's like about pro players or about people who are supposed to be good at a thing,
Yeah.
and like there was this horribly bad misrepresentative movie about a beach volleyball back in the 80s. Was it what was it called? Set It Up, maybe?
That
No. Oh, I'm gonna have to look this up. But they had like I went with a friend who was like a volleyball player in high school. We were in high school at the time. We went to watch this movie. And we were big fans of beach volleyball at the time. And so we go and we watch, and the play was so bad, and they didn't blow the whistle when the guy was like fumbling the ball when he was
oh
setting, and he would like, and they even won on it, and my friend was like standing up in his chair in the theater going, blow the whistle. All right, I
I'm
joke. Maybe
I'm
not.
just
But I
I'm just
imagine that's how it happened, and I think
I'm
it's true now.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a kid who's like, I'm so into paddling, and then he forgets that the dragon boat doesn't go out in the ocean. And that's what I'm gonna like. That's gonna be my defining moment. Like everybody's gonna say, well, "You know that dragon boat doesn't go in the ocean. Like, why would you do that?"
Or maybe they're just like, no one's ever going to make this, so I'm just going to write this book, and no one will really know, and then that book gets sold an option, and eventually they're like, eventually some poor stunt coordinator is going to be like, wait. You want me to take that boat that has no keel, that is steered by an oar that's maybe, now let's sit back here a little bit, that maybe this much of it is in the water at any given point. You want that to go on the ocean with 22 people.
With somebody standing up.
With somebody standing up in the back holding onto that oar. It better be a calm day.
You better be paying those extras in those boats loads of money.
Loads of money. Loads of money.
I'm not talking, industry standard. No, they need to be paid loads of money.
Well, they could build a special dragon boat and give it like a keel and maybe even like a propeller or something. Like put a little electric engine down there and just be like, yeah, we can do this on the ocean.
We've gotten way off topic.
I
don't know where were we? Okay, so teamwork. I think that's what we're going for. Teamwork equals magic.
Teamwork equals magic.
And trusting the process. So, yeah. So Bright was basically all of that. They had to trust. They had to work as a team to ensure that the magic of the people in LA were safe. I think that's all we need to say about that. Like that's it. That's it. Anything else?
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything?
Well, and there were a lot of people who just didn't want that magic to happen.
I know. They tried to stop it. But with faith, it happened. Magic happened. So I think that is a great segue into our paddling topic and aspect about trusting the process. So I'm going to pose a question now to you, Harlan, and I want to hear your thoughts.
All right.
And then I will give you my take on it because, what's your takeaway? Like we say after practice, what was your takeaway from today? So, in trusting the process, what is it, if I can talk, about ourselves as paddlers that block us from reaching our max potential during practice or races?
Oh, that's a big question to answer. So I think I would say, and I don't mean to be Jungian or Freudian with this. I don't like the word ego, but let's use the word ego as a shorthand for the idea that what I mean by it is the concept that I, as a person, have achieved X, Y, and Z. Therefore, my current way of doing things is correct. And so we have a lot of things that we know how to do, and we don't think about them too much anymore. We know how to walk, we know how to breathe, we know how to eat our food. We may know how to do more complex things like databases or coding or investing or making chocolates or whatever cool thing it is you know how to do, right? And so at a certain point in your skill set, you lose what I think of as the beginner's mind, right? So this isn't my concept. This is from, I'm borrowing this from martial arts and other people's writings, but the concept of and actually it's a Zen concept, the idea of a beginner's mind, being able to let go of those preconceived notions that you have about yourself, about what you're capable of, about how something should be done, to be able to release that and ask the question of yourself and your sport or whatever it is you're working on. Can I do this differently and get a better result? So it's this idea that you can scientifically try different ways of doing something and take advice from people in an open-minded fashion and see if it works. And I feel like our identities, our egos, if you will, hold us back from doing that because many people find it difficult to release. I know I find it difficult to do that. And it starts early. It starts fast. Like that first day you get in at OC1 and you start paddling and you're like, oh, I'm moving forward. Ah, I understand how to paddle now.
That's it. I'm a paddler.
Well, I mean, it's true. You are a paddler, but you don't understand the best way to paddle. You don't even understand the best way to paddle for yourself. And you certainly don't understand the best way to coach other people how to paddle because everyone paddles a little bit differently, right? So everybody is going to be at a different place in their paddle, and there are different ways to apply power and force. And I'm just going on and on and on. I could literally talk about this for a long time.
It's
I
no,
probably should let you interject.
No, that you made all valid points, and I'm very interested because so most of it's no secret that Harlan and I, we coach some wonderful, exceptional kids with our head coach, who's at the helm, Fred Pedrick.
They're not exceptional paddlers, by the way. Well, not
they're exceptional
people.
People.
Yes.
They're great paddlers. I would say
some of them
great.
are great paddlers too.
Yeah. So, and so after every session, or sometimes during the session, the coaches, myself, Harlan, and Red will ask, okay, what have we learned from this drill? What's your take on this drill? What's your, what did you take away from that? And after practice, we ask that of the kids too. We'll pick 3 people. Red will pick 3 people, and we'll go. So for myself, when I pose this question, it kind of goes along the lines of what you said, the ego. But on the flip side, for me, it's that self-abuse. And I'm going to say that again. It's that self-abuse. When you're paddling, or especially when I'm paddling, when I start, I'm like, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and I'm going to be fine. But when you have a kid or another paddler or anybody when you're paddling fly by you, there is ego, like, what the hell? What am I doing wrong? So that starts, and that will lead into, well, I should just fucking quit because I'm not good anymore. What the hell? I've been training all this time. What the fuck is wrong with me? And so you start self-abusing yourself. And I did that for years. I've been only paddling for 6 years. Okay, so I've been paddling half the time as some other people. And I didn't realize I was doing that until somebody pointed it out. I was like, and I remember I got out of a race and I was like, fuck, I'm the last goddamn person. I'm faster than these people. I'm faster than this 60-year-old that I beat. What the hell is wrong with me? I'm not. And somebody said, you need to stop self-abusing yourself because what did you do right? You finished the race. You didn't quit. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You got up and you're alive, right? Yeah. I see that. Did you get a good time? I said, well, yeah, I took maybe 2-3 minutes off my time. Then why are you bitching? And so it took that. I was like, dude, I'm self-abusing myself. And I think as people and as paddlers, we tend to do that. And it's very subtle because people think, oh, it's the ego, it's the ego. But that ego, there's a very fine line between ego and self-abusing.
Yeah.
And they go either way,
Yeah.
So I recognize, and I think that is
I think they
what,
link together.
yeah.
I agree. I agree because there's the ego that says I'm not going to change. I'm going to do it my way. And then there's the ego that says, well, if I can't do it as well as that person, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I'm bad. I suck. Why am I spending every waking hour to go on the water and being beat by people that I know I can beat? What the fuck is wrong with me? And I think that if we could get to the point where paddlers and people to know it's okay not to be the fastest on the water. It's okay not to be the best at something. As long as you try and you're out there, it's going to get better. And then on the flip side of that is when I tell the kids, because they all get nervous, every time they get nervous when we have a race, right?
Do they really?
Yeah. They're like, yeah, I'm okay. I just want to beat so-and-so, or I need to beat them because they beat me in practice. And I've actually told this to some adult paddlers too, who just paddle races for the first time. I said, there's going to be paddlers who are faster than you. There are paddlers going to be slower than you. But the one person that you should beat is yourself. You're always paddling against yourself. You're not paddling against, Irina, and you're not paddling against, Michael Chang or Zoe, even though they're going to be there. You're paddling against yourself.
Yeah. Point strongly taken. When I think about races for myself, I don't like them. So I'm, it's not that I'm not a competitive person. I'll say that sometimes because I don't like hang my hat on it necessarily. Like I don't go out looking for competition necessarily, but I am a competitive person. Like if I'm out there and if I'm in a race and there's somebody alongside me, I'm like, I'm going to smoke this.
Yeah.
I'm going to smoke this dude or this lady and I'm just going to leave. And I mean, I feel like that it makes it kind of fun to do that regardless of whether or not you actually can beat them or not. The guy that I was pacing with at the last race we had, he ended up smoking me at the end, but it was good. I was like pacing him for a while, and I was like, okay.
You were riding his wake?
Yeah. There wasn't much of a wake to ride that day. It was kind of weird. Anyway, it's good. So I am competitive in that way, but I think I was thinking about this the other night because I saw your notes and I was like, oh, okay, let's talk about races a little bit. I realized that the reason why I don't like races is because I don't like being out with large groups of people. And that's not all COVID like anxiety either. That's just like me. I just don't like large groups of people. And so like when I get out there and there's like 500 boats in a line, I'm like, I'm going to go to the end of the line, please. Where I got some space. I don't want to be all like bunched up next to everybody and like
And
And then
then
once the race starts, it's great. It's great.
everybody, but no, I know what you're saying because at the start line, like everybody's going out there, and they're like kind of, you can sometimes you can touch the next boat or whatnot, but once they blow that horn, everybody goes whoosh, right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. And you're like, come on, people. I just don't touch me. Don't touch my boat.
You start getting all like, I'm like, you're like, no, cooties, please, no, 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 no. See, that's why I always, and here's my secret to that. I always try to go to the outside where I know nobody's gonna be. Even
That's
though I
probably
have,
why your time is lower, Naya, because you have to take the triangle point. So if like everyone is moving in a straight line, so there's a straight line, right? If everyone here is moving in a straight line and you have to take this line to get to the
yeah.
end, you're actually going farther. But isn't it great that I have tape on my walls and I can like
A
display race
visual.
courses?
Yes, we
So
have a
useful.
visual. Yes. But see, I will take that and slowly make my way in, and then on the first turn, I usually am being able to pass people. So I'm like you, but I don't mind the crowd because I'm just like, if there is a easy way to get out of that crash, not Hooli, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you see so many Hoolies even at the start. That's what kind of was like, okay, let me find like maybe the 3 or 4 people that are like, yeah, we're gonna like just roll around here and then wait just a little bit and then we go, or be the last people who go. But then you have, see, the thing about the races though, they'll let you go and sometimes they'll hold the subs back, or the subs get a 2-minute head start or 1 minute head start, and then so you're still there. There's that thing where if they call the OCs and they hold the subs back, you don't want to be the last person off the OCs and
Right,
get passed by.
because then you got like the good suppers like just cooking past you and you're like, damn,
You
I
just
should be
like,
going.
yeah, you just wave. Danny Chang and Michael Chang just wave past you, and you're like, thanks, dude. I feel so good about myself
Good
right
luck. See you at the finish line.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So it's different for every race, but yeah. So
But I think to get back to that subject of self-abuse and knowing that it's okay to be slow.
yes.
I I think, and we talked about this at last night's practice. It's like it's common in life to need to slow down to learn something, to learn basic concepts, to learn the process before you become better at something. And so, like, there's this idea that if you're not the best at something, it's not worth doing. I think for some people, and I've fallen into that trap at times too, right? Like if you can't be great at something, why continue doing it? And so I think everybody needs to ask themselves the question, does this thing that I'm practicing serve me? How does it serve me? What role does it play in my life? And how can I become better at it so that I become a better person? So that I feel good about myself when I do it. And there's some sports, there's some esports, there are some real sports, there are some pieces of life that you'll find best to remove yourself from those things at a certain point if you can't find the joy in it anymore. If you don't go out to practice every day and go, oh, this makes me feel great, right? Like I strongly, like for me, paddling is all about practices. I actually don't care about the races that much. I'll go because, I want to support people and I want to support my son who's also racing. But like I could take or leave those things. I love practicing. I love working on basics. I love doing sprints. I love doing long pieces. Like give me a practice any day of the week. Rather do it. If you can't find that for whatever it is that you're doing, you may need to choose a different hobby/profession. I don't know. What's your take on that?
So you're touching upon the investing part, right? So
I am
you're
touching on the investing part,
so
but I have more to say on the investing
yeah.
part.
So I I'm on the flip side. I love racing.
You love racing. Okay.
As much as I hate getting up early in the morning to load the boat because you're all cozy and you're all like, oh, it's so nice and it's cold out there. I love racing. I love competing. I don't care what it's in. It could be cards. It could be, collecting matchbooks for all I care.
Okay.
I love competing.
Okay.
Just like for me, like if there's an auction, like a silent auction or a raffle,
Do you have to win that?
I have to buy more tickets. I have to buy the most tickets so I can do. And then when I win something, I don't care what the hell it is. It's the fact that I won. It's the fact that I won. All right. So, and I usually, anytime I win a raffle or a silent auction, I usually end up giving the prize away. Because I don't need it. I just wanted the satisfaction of winning. Like I remember I over at Fiesta Island, and I think this was with SDCK. I bought so many raffle tickets. I didn't care what they were for. I was putting them in bags and stuff. I won like 4 prizes, and then the main prize was a surf ski paddle that Red wanted, that Steve Jewell put in for, that like all these people put in for. I ended up winning it.
But you don't surf ski.
I know.
Yeah.
So long story short,
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
So long story short, I ended up selling it to Steve Jewell because he had just gotten a new surf ski. And I was like, and he's like, how much you want for it? I'm like, I don't know. What does a surf ski paddle go for? So we looked it up and, I got the money. But it's just the fact that the competition aspect I love, and I don't want to say it's an ego thing, but for me, it's,
well, there's a thrill to it.
I need that validation, that personal validation that I'm good enough in that moment. I'm good enough for myself to be, okay, that's awesome. I want that self-validation.
You're
not
looking
ego.
for that moment of clarity, that moment of excellence that you can say, I went out there and I was awesome.
Yeah. And I don't think it's ego. I don't want to call it ego.
It's not. The term ego is vague and weird. I wouldn't say that.
And I've done this since I was a kid.
Okay.
I had to have.
Okay.
I had to have that new thing just to say that I did it.
So now after that and those things, I want to talk about investing real quick.
There you go.
Because this is an investing show.
Yeah.
Supposedly. I know we talk a lot about everything else most of the time. And there's a reason for that because, like I said in the first show, it's important to talk about and think about general concepts of life, and investing is based on those concepts. It's important to be a fan of things and talk about the things you love. If you understand what those things are, you will be a better investor. If you understand yourself better, you will be a better investor. If you understand how to paddle better, you can be a better investor because you can take those lessons. Let's take one of those lessons right now. Mm-hmm. Let's take this. So in investing, it is extraordinarily dangerous to have a champion's mindset. Okay. Investing is different from paddling, but it's also the same. So all right, let's clarify what I'm trying to say here. So what you were talking about is being out there and being able to put out your best self and show what you've practiced and show what you've done and prove it to yourself that you've gotten there, right? That is great from an investing standpoint. If you research your stocks and you learn investing methodologies and you understand and you follow your companies and you research and you check their products and you check into how their competitors are doing and things like that, and you're comfortable in your investments, and you dedicate thought and healthy amounts of sort of watchfulness to the companies that you're investing in, that's great, right? And so every day this practice builds up, and over time your investments can grow and blossom, and that is the sort of process of continual growth. However, it becomes dangerous when that paddler passes you, right? Or the Danny Chang is out. Danny Chang? Chang.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael Chang, Danny Chang.
Two different people.
Two different people. I know they're two different people. Okay. So,
but very fast.
When you see these very fast people passing you, and they're just cooking past you, and you're thinking, from an investing standpoint, you're thinking about people like Warren Buffett, who has billions and billions of dollars built up over the years, and you're not quite sure exactly how he started, but he must have been awesome. You look at some of these great investors out there, a lot of whom will share what they've done very aggressively online. Like I saw this woman who posted something on Twitter that she had made like $1 million or $1.7 million in a day doing some sort of trade, and people were congratulating her. And I hope, just so you know, that's not a healthy, that's like gambling. Like, unless you have a ridiculous amount of money already, like earning $1.7 million a day is not a healthy way to like be investing, because chances are you're doing, leveraged options or something like that, and you're at that much risk, right? If your portfolio swings that much in a day, something's weird. Like, or you have a ton of money, and that's like what 1% means for you. If that's what 1% means for you, like an average day of trading, your portfolio is probably going to go up or down plus or minus 2%. I would say, right? There are horrible days, though, that happen like the ones that we're having right now. But I wanted to talk about more that idea of seeing those faster people passing you.
Yes.
Don't get upset by that. Don't get upset by that. There's all, like, because if you're choosing a stock and they're choosing a different stock and theirs has a good day, they can pass you by a lot, and they may succeed more than you, but is that really what you're trying to do? If your goal is financial freedom, if your goal is to buy a home in France, if your goal is to make enough money to have a car, or just to be able to kind of stabilize yourself and get an apartment or something like that. If your goal in investing, if you know what it is and you can get there in a reasonable fashion, taking risks that you're comfortable with, you don't have to be the fastest person in the race. You have to stay within yourself. You have to paddle your own race. And you have to refrain from that self-abuse. And now I'm going to take it back to what's going on right now in the markets. It's a fucking bloodbath out there, guys. Oh my gosh. What is happening?
I don't No, like I
from a
get out.
certain perspective. From a certain perspective. However, so if you look at it like for our current year, January has just been abysmal. In fact, I think like since November has been abysmal. It's been like, but I, I, and I beg of you, if you're an investor and you're like panicking or you're worrying about selling things or you're like, I don't know what my plan is. I used to have a lot of money. Now I don't have a lot of money. What's going on? Take your slider on your investing tracker and expand that puppy out and take it out to 10 years. And if you haven't been investing for 10 years, take it out to 5 years. And if you haven't been investing for 5 years, take it out to 3 years. And if you haven't been investing for 3 years, take it out to a year. And then tell yourself, all of these are short time periods. And look at the trend on that graph. Chances are you've done pretty well over that time period. A small drop in the market today can look like a lot if you're looking at it over a month or 3 months or something like that. But all of a sudden, if you kind of just broaden your perspective and look at the overall market, all of a sudden you see things in there that you wouldn't have seen before. You've seen this has happened before. The market goes down sharply and it's very dangerous feeling. It feels horrible when it's happening, you know? And then it goes away. Most of the time it goes away. I mean, I'm not saying that markets can keep going up and up and up forever, and that's 100% of a guarantee. And it's definitely not true for you as an individual investor, because you might sell or buy at different times, and maybe the stocks you're choosing are not that great. But overall, if you look at things like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, even the Dow, those sorts of things, they tend to just keep going up. And there are structural reasons for why this happens. It's because these companies are getting bigger. They're making more money. Over time, their revenues are getting higher. More money is being pushed into them from more people on the planet, better situations everywhere. And there's just kind of more money piling into the market over time. And those valuations keep going up. Are we going to see plunges like this? Yes, commonly. It happens. And you shouldn't ever take an event like this and say, I lost this race, therefore I'm going to lose all my future races. This is one race. Like a 3-month period is a very short sprint in paddling.
Does it equate to like a 250, 300, 400, 5, what?
It's like a 100.
A 100.
3 months
okay.
is like, all right, the way you think about your investing career. You may start investing when let's say you're a young person who's gotten their first job out of college and you didn't invest anything before that. Ideally, people should, but I mean, maybe this is your first paycheck and you're like, I'm going to put something in my 401k for this first paycheck. Let's imagine you're that person. And this is your first investment. And you're like, okay, I'm going to stack some money in the S&P 500 tracking fund, and I'm going to see what happens. Okay, so that person, maybe 22 years old, 23 years old, they're going to be investing probably for the rest of their lives. So maybe 80 more years after that. So when you think about it like that, if they started investing 3 months ago, well, that in a paddler's career, maybe that's a 5K, one 5K, because
Sure.
you're paddling for decades and you're doing lots and lots of races. Yeah, it's one 5K, or maybe a couple of practices, a couple of bad practices.
So you're saying I'm going to put this in terms that I can understand.
Yeah.
So you're saying that when we see the downward red little arrow on the computer, we shouldn't we shouldn't freak out and just call the race and say we've got thunderstorms. We're not gonna. We're canceling this race. We should just be okay with the fact that it's okay that it's going to get better, but we just have to get through this rough waters first.
I'm saying that I'm saying that it's kind of like that. Imagine there are thunder clouds coming in the next day. Today the ocean is like rollicking and you're out there anyway and you're trying to get through it and your time is like half an hour later than you ordinarily would be and you just get off of the water and you feel horrible. This is that.
Okay,
That doesn't mean all your races are going to be like that. And you lost to everybody. You're last.
Oh,
That's how it feels. You're like,
that
well, I'm still alive. That's what matters. PFD for the win.
PFD for the that's going to be our new motto now.
PFD for the win. Yeah. So I feel like my main point is if you're an individual stock investor, it can be scary to have times like this, but trusting the process of buying great companies and waiting for them to fulfill their potential and to be properly diversified and taking all those sort of healthy steps to maintain a healthy portfolio. Those things, just like the practices you would have when you're paddling, like learning the proper stroke, taking the time to develop all of your correct habits, that is what's going to carry you for 50 more races. Yeah.
That is wow. You just made investing and paddling into a metaphor. That's awesome.
Oh, I love my metaphors.
So I think we should do this more often with the investment talking, because it does really help to put it in perspectives with that, because you are investing in yourself. I mean, God knows that we spend a lot of money on our toys.
Yeah, we do.
So,
yeah, we do.
We should have that financial aspect to that to take into consideration too. So,
exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome, Harlan.
So I think we probably should start wrapping up. And
yes,
we have a couple of shout outs for events that are coming up. So if you're a paddler and you're in the Southern California area, you can maybe join us at some of these. I don't know if I'm going to go to all of these, but I'm definitely going to attend the Hano Hano Ocean Challenge, COVID and weather permitting. Woohoo! So Hano Hano Ocean Challenge is on January 29th, which is Saturday, right?
Yes, this Saturday.
This Saturday, so I'm going to try to get this episode out before that, so this isn't an irrelevant comment. This is in Bonita Cove in Mission Bay. If you would like to check it out, it is at www.hanohano.com. They did not pay for this. I'm just a fan. Go ahead and check them out. And this is a big event. I think there's about 400 people signed up right now. I was one of the last, so I saw how many people there were. And there are 3 different courses on site and 1 virtual course. There's a 9-mile ocean course. There's a 4.5-mile short course in the bay. And then there's a 1K juniors race. And then the virtual race is a 10K. Yeah. So if you're interested and even if you're not in Southern California, you could participate in the 10K virtual race.
Yes, come support, all those wonderful people. You might even meet Harlan and I in real life if you
see us wandering around.
Yeah. So shout out to the Gliders and West Coast Paddle Sports that we are going to be at their booth, their tent. So just wanted to put that out.
Cool. And then we're going to be... Oh, I also wanted to highlight a couple of other races that are happening soon. These are a little bit further north up in LA. So the Newport Aquatic Center Hal Rossoff Classic 2022 is happening in Newport Beach on February 12th. And the Lanakila Classic 2022 is happening in Redondo Beach on February 26th. So I'm going to try to make it up to those two.
It's a good time had by all. I mean, it's just a really good way. Even if you're not racing, there's going to be vendors there. You're going to get some cool swag. It's just a really good time, and
it's fun to watch.
Yeah,
it's a good time. It's a good time out at the beach too. And if you are going, you might want to get there early.
get there very early because parking does.
Parking's always a problem.
Yes,
like I don't think there are 400 parking spots for the Mission Bay Point. I don't know what they're thinking over there. We're gonna have to park somewhere far away, I guess.
Either that, or people are gonna get a really nice warm up.
Yeah, either toting their boat or going from a very distant point to the starting point.
Which is not that bad, but it's a great event. We've done this. I think this is my second or third year doing this. I'm not sure.
This would be my first time there, so I'm looking forward to it. This looks like a great race. I saw the photos from last year.
Yeah, it's great. It's Hano Hano does a great event putting this on, and there's good food. There's actually good food, not just
cool.
Not just like little snacks and a bagel or something. They actually go all out, so it's good. Hopefully.
Nice. Well, hopefully. Again, COVID and weather permitting, so keep an eye on the skies.
Yes.
So, well, that was today's show. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we peace out?
Did we tell them about the Facebook page that we have?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to go into that right now. Yeah, let's do that. So remember to like and subscribe on whatever service you happen to catch us on. And in the comments, tell us all about your bright paddling process or your bright investing process. Either way is fine. Mm-hmm. You can email us at writingthewake2, the number 2. There you go. The writingthewake2 at gmail.com, or follow us on both Instagram or our new Facebook page. Both of these are Writing the Wake, one word.
And if you do contact us on all of those platforms or one of those platforms, we will be sure to read your comments and emails and respond timely if you would like.
Cool. So, and tune in next week for episode 6, where we'll talk more K-dramas. Episode 6, yeah. This time, a heartwarming, heartrending, emotional roller coaster comedy, Her Private Life. And we're going to be comparing it to the American film Almost Famous. Because these are both about fandom and celebrity. Yes. Until next time, embrace the hoolie, and we will see you on the land or in the water.
Whatever.
Peace.